Hello, my name is Micaiah. Welcome to Hamlet Development Log number 22. We usually start with this. It's in development, not promised, coming soon. Lots of things like this. Also included start from slide is Shift F5. A couple weeks ago, I was wondering from that. Oh, and yes, I didn't catch all these. Let's try this Shift F5. Yay! Anyway, so I'm sure there'll be more of that. But yeah, so we were talking last week about doing some different things. We talked about spring cleaning, but basically we thought about it. We took the week and did some major reorganizations, cleaning up, changing things, and then on the weekend we're thinking, hey, let's take the weekend and work on some updates. And it sort of was just my heart wasn't into it, so I was just kind of like, well, let's take a break. Um, so I thought, like, well, this next week I'm going to be or this week, I guess, from now till the next Monday, I'm going to be pretty busy. So then next Monday, I figured sort of reevaluate that, and then we'll give an update on the 22nd. I kind of wanted to wait till August, so I should say sort of slash August. um, or how can I do this? It seems so weird. It's like I just want to slash August. Just to kind of, just give that caveat out there that if I say something like, hey, this is, it should be around August 1st. I definitely want to give that an update, what's happening, what the plan is. I'm sort of was still talking about doing the Steam refunds, but it's, it's definitely not, it's one of those kind of heartbreaking things, so I'm not sure I really want to. It's sort of like if my heart's not really into it, then it's like something's definitely not. So I think there's sort of the balance there of just kind of reorganizing my life and sort of trying to get things cleaned up, take care of more things around the house. I've been just programming nonstop for like 16 hours a day for the last couple of years or several years now. So it's just like I take some breaks and do a lot of things, and sometimes I take a month off or something, but. And then what this is sort of different than that, where I just get burned out. I think this is sort of just trying to reorganize. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much it. I want to keep this kind of short, so I guess there was a few other things I was just going to run through, talk about, maybe think about if anything I'm sort of handling there. So that's pretty much the plan. There won't be another devlog 23. Won't happen until at least the 22nd. I probably will do one on the 22nd because it will sort of give me some clarity of what's happening in the next couple weeks, I think. And we'll definitely get through that. And then next week too, we might look at some other projects and where they're at and what we want to do with them, and sort of that will give us a better understanding too of take that week off, take that week from the 15th or whatever to the 21st, and sort of decide what we can do there, and then we'll give the update on that. Anyway, so it's pretty much this. Yeah, these are going to be all over, aren't they? The status report for 22. As we, it's just fulfilled. It's just I just wanted to really point that out that it took 3 months, I think it was. So hopefully this couple weeks we'll just kind of get that refresh and reapproach. But that's sort of where we're at right now. We're still kind of working on that alpha branch. We have a lot of things that are in the background, but we're not quite sure, how to bring those online. There are some things that we're sort of focused on. The world building aspects are not quite there yet. And some of the animals we're just working on Saturday. We're working on some of the animals. And wanting to bring them back, and maybe focus on that as well. So that's all part of that sort of alpha branch. It's sort of, we have pieces of that all over the place, so just got to put them all together, really. Anyway, so yeah, I think this is pretty good. Yeah, so we're going to be, I don't know, this is all wrong. Anyways, yeah, so this is usually what I do in the background, so very boring stuff. Log 21 was on the June 24th. So we actually started this on July 8th. What is it? 8th, yeah. And it's supposed to be on YouTube on the 8th. So just it wasn't really anything in particular. Um, we're looking at you know, we did a little bit, quite a bit of work. Uh, I don't know, half a day's work on Saturday, or maybe a quarter. A quarter for most people, or half a day work for most people, a quarter for me. But anyways, put 4 or 6 hours into it. Looked at some projects, started um, um, yeah. Anyway, um, but that so yeah so this is kind of where we're at. We're definitely the microenvironment. I think one of the things also we're talking about now. If you look up here, we're talking about animals. Um, it's always was a big ask. Resources, or not a big ask, but a big request from me, that we wanted sheep, and you can shear the sheep and get the wool, and sort of do a lot of things with them. Farm sheep, sort of collect sheep for resources. You know, have them for food as well. So it's like there's a lot of sort of that cycle of there. Um, and I think that it's like if you just kind of look at sort of what we have here, that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Is like the sort of the core gameplay idea is this just have this really um, very simple but very direct game that just has all these different objects that sort of interact in such a way that build up this massive microenvironment, and then sort of hammer that out and make that very clean is sort of the idea. That's kind of what we're thinking about. Yeah, yeah, I guess he's going to be all over the place about the 22. This is 22, I swear. That's what yep, yeah. But and then yeah, so then once you go into here, it's like yeah, we thought about this is we picked up one pack, and so we thought about I think this will be our next purchase. It's sort of we have the sort of money for it now, but it gives and then also building that town aspect as well would be cool. But I'm not sure if like that's going to sort of fit. We have a couple different ideas of how that will fit, and I think too like a lot of this is very the roads for instance won't work. We know that the scale is going to be all off. Then it's going to be like, well, why can't you leave the town? Because we haven't actually built it. The actual reason why you can't leave the town is because there is nothing out there. The fog is the end of the world. Um, but as such, it's sort of I think as a pretty that's a pretty extensive gameplay. Um, from right there is just building that, and this could be Hamlet, sort of the 1.5 or something, especially with the royalty and some of the other military. We definitely need some sort of guards and some sort of thing, but sort of the focus was to have the citizens sort of do things, and I think it's sort of just kind of that performant level is like if I have 20, 30 buildings like that, not including the whatever the keep up here, the royalty palace, just like I was thinking about just cutting this off right here, putting a gate right here or something, um, and then just the rest of this is sort of like under construction, um, and so that's like 20 or 30 buildings. The watchtowers are pretty blah. I've noticed for gameplay value, but maybe remove the watchtowers. Some of these outlying buildings could be cool for like forestry work. So we might include just um, it might just include just a like a flat terrain as well, and then sort of block it out too. That might actually save us quite a bit because we've been thinking about tiles as nodes, and we still have that concept, but we can put the terrain down, put all the trees in its place, and then sort of write the code to not generate trees so much in the interworld, unless there's free space or you plant a seed or something, which we haven't got to that point yet. But anyway, so then you can get this kind of forested area where the forest is like massively thick, and maybe that's the boundary of the and then there is eventually after you know ten deep of the forest. It's pretty thick, and but this actually might be good too because of the mountain. Because of the only thing is just the traveling on these roads is I'll have to see. I definitely should pick up this pack, but it's kind of like do I spend money on something I'm not really needing right now? But I think it's definitely I like the scene. I don't like the mountain, but but I can sort of hopefully take some of the terrain and redo. I have to redo all that anyways, and then the trees, and so it's feel like quite a bit different. So it's not just a copy and paste of Zug Zug artwork, even though the building's made. Although we actually just picked up another building that we might try using, which has doors and stuff like that from the Jan N pack. So I think that's one of the things we're going to do back in the micro. We're going to change the house into that and sort of see if we can get the textures to work. Anyway, so that's that, and then yeah, so then we're kind of this is definitely trying to getting back to this idea of just making a simple RPG that we can handle. Um, it's sort of even talked about lowering the price, but it's like that seems kind of unfair to the people. And I think $10 is a fair price, honestly. For the game that maybe not this game, but sort of these two these all these concepts with all these concepts make for a pretty decent game, not even including the dungeon aspects, which we're sort of thinking like will be a free add-on. So that's sort of the idea, is that eventually we're going to add into that, add in the dungeon entrance, somewhere like in here or something, or in one of these buildings or something, sort of like the cellar that goes into the bigger areas or something to that effect, where it's like it's like this is kind of a town. It's sort of one of the concepts is a town built on another town that was built on another town. It's sort of like after a while, um, you know, things happen and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so hopefully that's a quick update. Sorry for the delay. It just feels like that's kind of the right thing to do right now. I've been kind of neglecting cleaning up my house. That's I'm glad I'm not married, I guess, in that respects, because maybe my wife would be a little bit more like you live in a pigsty, and it's not messy. It's just sort of it's just not you know. Anyway, so I've definitely been doing a lot of spring cleaning and sort of organizing, and also organizing my game design docs as well. As I've have 20 years of game design docs that I have all the design docs for this that include some of these original design concepts that I maybe would like to get back to at some point as well. But I guess it's sort of the idea back then was like you had only 4 or 5 nodes at a time, so it's like it was really it was different concepts. So, but now we have these pretty expansive worlds, and these open worlds that are like this entire area would be like a maybe a long time ago, but Zelda was actually like the original Zelda was like 30 or 50 screens, and it was like that was it. I mean, maybe there was like 30 or 50 or 50 or 100 or something overworld screens, and there was like maybe 50, 80 underworld screens, but it wasn't that massive compared to the worlds that we're building now. And like, and plus to the house, like each individual house is sort of like modeled now, and it's like you have like that's sort of like the house. This concept for me is like you have a blacksmith workshop that maybe he lives there, but then you have the lumber mill outside, which is what maybe this building is on the upper left here. But then he has a house in here, and that's true for most people, where they have a house and a business, and then they all go to church, and they all go to the tavern, and there's various aspects like that, which I think is pretty amazing that we can get to that point. But the sort of the trouble becomes of and I think that's sort of it is cool in that concept of there is a lot of games that are just sort of centered around a town, and then maybe they have the world map. You can do a lot of things in town, and then you travel on the world map to go to a different town. It's something I've been thinking about as well. I'm not very happy with that concept. It's probably why I'm putting it off so long. But it does definitely seems like a world map would solve a few of the the innate problems that we have right now. And then even have some gameplay on the world map of trade back and forth between areas and stuff like that, and then you can sort of internally track that trade on the world map and stuff. So there's a lot of I guess that's sort of it. There's a lot of really cool ideas, a lot of great things with this. Um, I guess I should eliminate the Haven. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not worried about the Discord, but anyway, so definitely let me know on the feedback. I know it's pretty slim. There's a lot of just kind of so few. Um, it's not the views, it's not the money. It's just it's just I want to sort of get my life organized and get into a better spot where it's like it's simple and I can just sort of focus on the things I need to focus on, and then work on the game, and then sort of not have to sort of manage all the other stuff in my life. And I think this is kind of a good point in time, with how the world's kind of feeling a little dicey to simplify my life and sort of get it down to just the core of what I need to accomplish. And yeah, so I just need to sort of take that time off. And I'm not I that's sort of the thing is like I go something in whole souled. It's like if I'm focused on something, it's all I do. That's all I care about. All I think about. It's kind of like the problem with women. It's like all I think about is like that's the once that sort of the focus is my life, is that's all it is. And I think most people can't handle that because it's like they want other things in their lives, and they have this balance, and they go day to day from their lives, and it's just like, to me it's like no, no, no. So I think I definitely will get back into this, and partly too also, I know it's kind of a little longer than I was thinking about, but I was the point of doing this game for me as well wasn't because I was talented, or I had I've sort of had some experience doing this. Um, it was looking at the concept of other games out there, and in some big name games like Skyrim and games like that. But it's like they have a lot of aspects of gameplay that I don't like. Spells. They're very they're not violent per se like some of the more modern games. Um, they were we were talking about assassinations a couple weeks ago, but I mean they were decent, but even then it's like the game is sort of like fun, but then also the UI and the sort of the disability I have of having hard to see. It's like one of the other core concepts of sort of the type of game and sort of the environment of the game, um, is one thing, but then it's also the UI and sort of the interactions, and be able to see and to play the game is quite another thing entirely. And I think that's something that's missing also, is I can't just go out and play any game out there, because it's like they're most of the UIs they're too small and not really. I don't think they're actually just good on the surface, but people seem to be okay with that. And I know my UIs are, they're not better, but they're hopefully going to have some more features, and that does take a little bit while, which is probably why the UI is taking so long, because I'm not quite happy with it. But I've sort of emulated what people are doing, just at a bigger size, and sort of plan things out. And I had a couple really cool things, or like a split menu that was really intuitive, that sort of was like nice, but then it's like to get all these pieces to fit together, was sort of taking over the entire UI and sort of making it way too complex. And so hopefully I got things a little bit simplified, and sort of thought about with the characters and stuff, thinking about the instead of having this massive character script, we split it off into these really tight, like the law system, for instance, is amazing. It's just it's a piece of code that sits on the character that handles their lawful status, and it's like it talks to the law, and it might have to talk to more people, but it's just that's the core of the law system. It's like the four files that make up the law system. That's kind of one of the major. I think it highlights was the major breakthrough on that system. That sort of those four files talk to every the laws themselves, the um, the um, the character, and sort of the how they. I don't remember the other how it works out exactly, but once I look at it again, it would be pretty easy. But it's just so they just have those four systems, and it's just really those four files, and that's all it does. And instead of having a character that has a law stat, and then here's the laws, and it's like in this massive file, and it's like it all, and then you try to organize it, and you're like, oh, I want to put all my variables up here and all my lists, and it's like, no, no, this is so much cleaner. Plus, too, the character doesn't need to know. The character itself also doesn't need to know. There's a piece of code that sits on the character that says this is like a person, and the law system calls a generic function that registers a variable that says this is the law, based on the unique name of the law, the law, lawful, or whatever it's called, um, as the name of the variable that says, hey, here's the string of the lawful, and then it gives the value, and then it can change the value as well. So the main person character, eventually has a list of all these stats, hundreds of them, but it doesn't know. But it just has just basically the interface for it, so it's really amazing. So, anyways, I definitely want to get back to this. I guess is the point. There's a lot of cool things I have for this. A lot of plans. I definitely think this is definitely, we all need to sort of work to be happy as well. So I think this is part of for me as well, as I get to work and sort of feel like I'm accomplishing something and doing something. And two, it's like there's a great need for me as well to say, hey, this is fun and something I want to play and do. So anyways, my cats look at me kind of funny, like, why are you talking to yourself again? Anyway, so I'm talking to you, wonderful YouTubers. So thanks for sticking with me, and hopefully we'll get through this. It's definitely something I feel pretty confident in. I'll let everybody know on the 22nd, I think it was. Where are we at? Yeah, so it's pretty much, I guess should have been the final page as well. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. We're just taking a quick summer break. We're doing spring cleaning. We definitely need to clean up my bathroom, reorganize the room as well. I've been wanting to bring another desk in here, and I haven't for like a couple years now. So I really need to get that desk in here and start organizing my design documents and I think that will help as well as I start pulling in some of the old design documents and start going through and sort of organizing, maintaining that. But anyway, so and also too, it might July 22nd. I know is the sort of the tentative date. I'll sort of try to keep that in mind. I guess I'll miss the video on July 15th. I think it is. Yeah, I'll be like, wait a second here. Maybe I'll do a video on July 20th. I don't know. But yes, but then also too, it could be till August 1st. Hope August is spelled correctly. Yeah, well, looks right. Augustus, Roman Augustus. Anyways, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see everybody next time, and we'll get you an update here pretty soon. So I hope everybody does find that work-life balance. That's one of those hardest things for me. The work life, and then the spiritual personal balance, or spiritual physical balance is also another, whew, major challenge. But anyways, I'm sure we can do it. Thank you very much. Everyone have a great day, great weeks.